Okay, if I could just ask you to state your name and company, please.
Stephen Morris, Ardmore Advertising.
Stephen, what did you think of this morning's 5 Leaders, 5 Days event?
Extremely useful. Obviously, there's worrying times for everybody, and with election coming up, we need to know what the future holds for all of us. So it's great to have access to. Obviously, Tom this morning, the other leaders who've been for the other events.
How important do you think it is for the Northern Ireland business community to have such close access to political leaders and to hear their views on the economy?
I mean, obviously, to plan for a future and what we have in the private sector ourselves here, we need to know what our leaders think for the future. It's a very limited opportunity for us to come and speak and engage with leaders in such a regular opportunity. So I think we need to not only have what we've had this morning, but on an ongoing basis, I'd like to have a programme in place so we can have more access.
And what did you think of Tom Elliott's business message this morning?
Obviously, very, very interesting to hear him speak. Obviously, slightly limited in terms of what he can open up, and especially with an election coming up. Obviously, don't want to say too much, but I think it would be nice to let him open up a little bit more and have a bit more time to engage with questions as well. Yeah.
And how important do you think the issue of the economy will be for voters in the forthcoming election?
I personally think it should be the single most important issue in this election, given obviously how many people are out of work, which obviously Tom touched on this morning, but obviously there's such a pessimistic future for so many people that I think obviously everyone should engage with that as a primary focus. Yeah.
Stephen, thank you very much. If I could just ask you to state your name and company for the camera, please.
My name is Peter Spratt of Anderson Spratt Group.
Peter, what did you think of this morning's 5 Leaders, 5 Days event?
Well, once again, it's an opportunity to hold party leaders to account. They have to be candid at moments like this, and they have to set out their stall. And so I was interested to hear what Tom Elliott was having to say, obviously on the broader economy, particularly his views on the gulf between private and public sectors at the moment, which other leaders have commented upon. And I was also interested in his view on the role of arts and culture as a contributor to economic well-being, on which he had some interesting things to say.
And how important do you think it is for the Northern Ireland business community to have such close access to our political leaders and to hear their views on the economy?
I think the Chamber's initiative in this context has been extremely positive, and I welcome the level of access that one has to the leaders at this moment in time. I do think nonetheless still that notwithstanding what leaders are saying, we need a little more detail on how things will be delivered, particularly things like the review of public administration, which has been terribly marred since the get-go, and we need to hear some positive noises about how things like that are going to be implemented again, taking Northern Ireland forward.
And what did you think of Tom Elliott's business message this morning?
Well, Tom Elliott had sensible things to say. The problems in the Northern Ireland economy, the systemic problems, are well documented, and has been said by Tom Elliott and others. There are serious issues that need readily addressed, such as the bloated public sector, which is not going to be an overnight fix, but we've been talking about it for a very long time. And one of the things that we need to hear more of is how indeed we're going to start and fix a bloated public sector with a view to balancing this economy. Greater detail and perhaps a little less rhetoric. One interesting thing that Tom Elliott is saying that I do welcome is the need for a constructive opposition in Northern Ireland, where an enforced coalition can function just as that, an enforced coalition that isn't always coalescent. So the idea of a constructive opposition, holding a government to account, as in other democratic environments, is something that I would like to hear more of.
And just finally, how important do you think the issue of the economy will be for voters in the forthcoming election?
That's a good question. It should be a huge issue. It should be a huge issue because it has been prioritised since the beginnings of the outgoing executive as the number one priority within what was the programme for government. It will continue to be, I would anticipate, the number one priority within the programme for government, but we live in Northern Ireland, and I'm not sure that voting behaviour will always hear that or reflect that in the way it performs on the 5th of May.
Peter, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, if I could just ask you to state your name and company for the camera, please.
My name's Alastair Mulligan from a company called Desk Warehouse.
Alastair, what did you think of this morning's 5 Leaders, 5 Days event?
I thought it was very interesting. I think it's a good concept to bring all the leaders in front of business, the business community. Quite enjoyed it.
And how important do you think it is for the Northern Ireland business community to have such close access to our political leaders and to hear their views on the economy?
I think it's important that the political leaders interact with the business community, and they're able to listen to our viewpoint, and also that we can be inspired by the skills that our political leaders have, and hopefully we can influence each other.
And what did you think of Tom Elliott's business message this morning?
I was relatively impressed with what Tom had to say. He's got the right ideas. Whether or not those sort of ideas can actually be made to happen within the confines of Northern Ireland is difficult to say.
And how important, just finally, how important do you think the issue of the economy will be for voters in the forthcoming election?
It's fairly important to a large section of voters, but unfortunately a lot of voters still vote along tribal lines. They don't care about the economy when it comes to voting.
But you think the economy should be at the forefront of their minds when they are voting?
Well, the economy is second only to the peace process, in my opinion.
Alastair, thank you very much.
No problem.
Spot on. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Thank you.